Good morning, the sun is shining and I'm on my way.
Here I go!
For my Turkana 4 Historic Challenge, I decided to go and see for myself one of South Africa's most unusual historic crossings, the Malgas Pont.
The canola flowers is always so beautiful. Waar draai ek af om by die pont uit te kom?
Dis laat af op jou gas. Daar grondpad meneer, weet dit al af by my grondpad.
The pont has been carrying people, vehicles and livestock across the Breede River for generations, and the crossing has a historic stretching back almost 200 years. But little did I know that the history would be only one part of the adventure waiting for me that day. Just after Heidelberg, I decided to leave the tar behind and take the lesser-known Slung River gravel road. And what a beautiful road it was.
Very slippery and muddy.
A few kilometers into the trip, with these incredible canola fields stretching out around me, I decided it was definitely photo time. I stopped the bike, got the cameras out and took a few shots. But there was something else I needed to do. The road was getting very muddy, so I decided to deflate my tires to give myself a little bit more grip. I had absolutely no idea what was coming. And then I made a rookie mistake. I had left my spotlights on. So when I climbed back onto the Transalp, turned the key and hit the starter, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was standing in the middle of nowhere with a dead battery. Not exactly part of the plan for the Turkana Historic Challenge.
Hallo, hoorie, ek staan nou hier die view gekyk en toe ek my motorfiets wil start is die battery pap. Toe wil die motorfiets nou glad nie start nie.
Luckily, I didn't have to wait forever. About half an hour later, a friendly person came driving past with a battery booster pack. He stopped, helped me get the bike started, and suddenly I was back on my way. Problem solved.
Luckily somebody came past and helped me with the battery pack there.
Or so I thought. I was still determined to get to the Malgas Pont, but then the road decided to throw its next challenge at me. Mud. And not just a little bit of mud. This was the thickest, slippiest mud I had encountered on the trip. The bike was dancing underneath me and I came close to dropping it about 5 times. There were moments when I thought, this is it, I'm going down. But somehow I managed to keep the Transalp upright. Eventually, the road improved.
It was so muddy and slippery.
After all the drama, I finally arrived at Malgas. And this is exactly why I had come. The Malgas Pont. The story of the crossing, the Breede River, here goes back much further than most people realize. The Breede River was a major obstacle for early travelers moving through the Overberg. Before reliable bridges, river crossings could become impossible when the water rose. In fact, the first recorded pontoon crossing on the Breede River dates all the way back to 1757. The Malgas crossing itself dates to around 1830, when a pont was established here to help connect the surrounding farming country with the important trading activities along the river. And Malgas was once far more important than the quiet little settlement we see today. It became an inland harbour and trading centre, connected to the Breede River and the trading empire of Joseph Barry and his family. Steamboats could travel up the river to Malgas, bringing goods and supplies into the interior. So this wasn't just some remote crossing in the middle of nowhere. For generations, the river was an important transport route, and the pond became a vital link across it.
Here at the pond. Sorry, what's your name?
Tandu.
Tandu.
Tandu. Yeah.
Okay, here's my muddy bike. This pond is more than 100 years old, I think.
Yeah, the old one, but this one is around about 5 years.
Okay, the new one. Yeah. But it was basically 100 years ago when they started
Yeah, they say so.
with this pond.
Very something. Yeah.
How many vehicles do you get today?
10, 12, something.
Okay, so it's not too much.
Still.
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating chapters in history came during the Anglo-Boer War. The British actually damaged the pond to prevent Boer forces from using it to cross the Breede River. And then there was the Great Flood of 1906. The pond broke loose and it was swept away from the riverbank. It eventually ended up standing on the eastern bank some distance from the water. It took 6 months of incredibly difficult work to get it back into the river. Imagine doing that without modern machinery. And that's what makes this place so special to me. It's not just an old ferry. It represents a way of traveling that has almost completely disappeared. For many years, the famous Malgas Pont was manually operated, with a pond man physically pulling the ferry across the Breede River using a cable and pulley system. It became known as the last hand-drawn pond in South Africa. The old hand-operated pond was eventually retired because it became too dangerous, and a new pond was introduced in 2020. But the tradition of the crossing in the Breede River and Malgas continues. And standing there looking at the river, I couldn't help thinking about all the people who had crossed here before me. Farmers, travelers, traders, families, and people simply trying to get from one side of the Breede River to the other. And now, after fighting through mud, nearly dropping my bike 5 times and having to get a jump start in the middle of nowhere, I was finally going across. And thankfully, the crossing itself was a lot less dramatic than getting there. After making it safely to the other side, I stopped for a while and took a moment to enjoy where I was. It had been a hard day, but it was also one of those days that you know you're going to remember. And that, for me, is what the Turkana Historic Challenge is all about. It's not simply about finding an old building, a grave, or a monument. It's about getting the bike, taking the road less traveled, and experience the history for yourself. Sometimes the adventure is getting there. Sometimes the history is waiting at the destination. And sometimes you get both on the same day. So, if you're anywhere near Swellendam and you're looking for a combination of history, beautiful scenery, and a little bit of adventure, put the Malgas Pont on your list. Just maybe check your battery, watch the mud, and don't forget to deflate those tires. This is Wessel, and I'll see you in the next Turkana adventure.
I arrived here at my guest farm. It's beautiful here. Let me show you quickly. Okay, this is my little place where I'm going to stay tonight. Today was quite a eventful day. It was really nice. It is sometimes the most eventful days in some of the. It's sometimes the most difficult days that becomes the more memorable. The mud was so slippery and deep on that road. I felt like I was belaying
and dancing with the bike on the road. And then the battery that was flat. I think I had too much stuff and cameras drawing on the battery while I was enjoying and taking photos. And when I wanted to start the bike in the middle of nowhere, and the ignition was on, then there was nothing. The bike didn't want to start, but luckily someone came past me and he had the battery pack and we could start the motorbike. And I adopted 2 cats. There's one and there's one.